This is Module 13, Fostering Online Learning with Educational Websites and Apps. So let's look at this module. There's a relatively large project at the end of this module, and many students do take more time to get this one completed. So perhaps you've already started this, but if not, you definitely want to get going on it early this week. Module 13 overview is to read chapter 6, and you'll see the learning goals right there. In chapter 6, you'll see the use of a discussion of a strategy, learning strategy, instructional strategy called WebQuests. And WebQuests is what you're going to actually be creating this week. So in creating a WebQuest, you are creating a web page for your students to go to so they can essentially walk through a series of tasks that will its inquiry base will actually have them explore different websites in order to answer some questions or develop a project. Because it's inquiry based, we do want to have some kind of project at the end for them to develop and work on. All right, so as we go through the module pages here, the first one talks about what a WebQuest is. It defines it. It was developed by Dr. Bernie Dodge from San Diego State University. And so there's a video clip there for you to hear directly from him on why he developed it and what it is all about. I also have a slide presentation, if you click here, that you'll be able to watch and get some more information about WebQuest. And then you'll see some examples. Now, there are tons of examples of WebQuest if you just Google it. However, just like our class, these classes for education are all over the United States, and teachers ask their students to create a WebQuest, and they're published online. And so you may be getting one student's WebQuest that did not meet the requirements, did not understand the concept. So I have provided some WebQuests here that follow the and it is rather structured. Follow that structure pretty well. It's targeted for that. So there's 2 for elementary, 1 for middle, and 2 for high. The WebQuest database is really the way that you can get some additional ideas, and I'm just going to demonstrate that because it can be a little tricky. When you go out to the Quest Garden, as you do here, I would suggest you go into the matrix instead of using the free text search. So let's say you want to get something in the language arts area for grades 3 to 5. Click search after you've put in your search topics, and it will bring up the WebQuests that have met that criteria. So you can see there's 276 of them here, and they are placed in here based on reverse. They are placed in here based on date. They have not been vetted or reviewed by any professional. So you have to know a little bit yourself about the WebQuest to determine whether or not it is really a good one. However, it can still give you some decent ideas from which to start your own. So if you wanted to do something with regards to grammar, for example, the sentence structure here could perhaps provide that. Every WebQuest has an introduction, which is just an overall kind of, here's the layout of what we're doing. It is kind of like the introduction to the collaborative lesson plan, and that you want to find something that will engage and pull your students in. You're writing, your audience here is students. It's not a lesson plan that you're creating on the web. It is actually you're directing all of your information that you've written here to students so that they would be reading that. Then the next piece is to give an overview of the task. The task should be short and sweet. It should be a summary of what students are going to be expected to do. It should not be a detailed list of lesson activities, because that actually goes into what the process is. And this one was not developed in total because there is no process. Let me just go back and see if, in fact, let's look at the one for Underground Railroads that I had for elementary. Here's your introduction, your task, and the process. So the process, and notice again the really in-depth, great inquiry. They're setting the stage by having the students play the role of a character in the Underground Railroad. And they're either going to be a slave or a slave owner or a conductor or a friendly northerner. And for each one of them, there's something different that they have to look at in terms of a website. There should always be a lot of websites. It should be rich with websites that you have your students exploring, because that again is the discovery piece. That's the inquiry piece that you want to set up. So this is a really good one in terms of me just glancing at it here. It gives step-by-step lesson activities. There are different roles that students play, and there's also links to various websites with instructions of what to do when they get to those websites. Okay, so that's what a process looks like. Evaluation should have a rubric, and in this case, there's an attachment or a link, but I prefer that they have in the template, if you use this, well, I think if you use either of the templates I'll show you, they have a rubric right in there embedded, and that's what I would prefer that you use. And then the conclusion is, again, like the summary in a collaborative lesson plan, you'll want to put some enhancements and not just leave it as a traditional summary. The credits should include all of your resources, and you can also give other credits as you see fit. If you use, like, say you looked at Unraveling the Underground Railroad and you think, oh, that's really a neat one. I would like to do something like that, but I'd like to base it on a book that our students are reading, and that's what you're going to do it on instead. Well, if you use this one as inspiration, you'll want to give credit to it, and this is the place that you would do it. So all of those pieces are what we call the student pages, and that's what students would look at. And students should be able to guide themselves pretty much through the web quests. The teacher page looks similar in that it has a number of different parts here. There's a place where you put in an introduction. There's also really important to identify who the learners are. So this one was intended for 4th grade students. Then also very critical that you add in the standards, and you should include all the details of those standards as we've talked about. Obviously you want to stick with Florida and not be looking at another state. And then the process, if there's information about how long it'll take, if there's other strategies that you want to explore or point out, this would be the place to do it. And then again, if there are other resources that you want to list, you can put them here under resources. So actually for the bibliography, you can have that under resources or under credits. Do remember that when you're using video or film or anything like that, you'll want to make sure that you include all of those. Okay, let's move on to the next page here. So how do you create a web quest? Well, I'm going to give you 2 recommended templates to use. The first one is called Quest Garden, and that's actually the one that we were just at. That one is free for 30 days. And in the future, if you like it and want to pay the subscription, it's relatively inexpensive, but I don't recommend that you pay for anything right now. Stick with the free. And if you go to Quest Garden, you'll see that they will guide you through how to do this. So you register for a free trial, put in your information, and then get registered, and then they'll literally walk you through it. Next is the Zoonal, which again is free, where you can make one web quest. And Zoonal I don't like as much in the sense that it is heavy with advertisements. It's just not as clean, but it is okay. It's doable. And so if you prefer the look of Zoonal or the ease of Zoonal, please feel free to use Zoonal as your template. And again, you can get information about how to do that. And again, they have some examples as well. Okay, so those are the 2 templates that I recommend that you do. Excuse my canine here. And then your specifics with regards to this is that you want to make sure that you think about the content, and you're not going to actually provide the content like you would if you were giving a lecture. Instead, you're going to let students explore the web to get that information. But instead of just letting them loose and finding any website that they want, you are structuring it so that you provide those websites. So then I recommend that you sketch out kind of the components of each of the sections, which I already reviewed, but there's some a little bit more information about that in here. And then you can put it into the templates. So chapter 6 also has some optional multimedia with links there. And then of course I did include the optional activities page again. And so your things to do for this week, you have an optional blog post for chapter 6, which would be K. Again, that is optional. And then you have your web quest assignment. And in that case, you'll provide a URL for the assignment to submit. And I would recommend that you also take some time to look at the rubric for how I will grade you for the web quest, so that you can see I'm looking at all the components: the introduction, the task, the process, the evaluation, conclusion, and the teacher page. And you can look at the kinds of things that I'm expecting, as well as the visual design, the navigation and mechanics, the spelling and grammar, and making sure that you have the resources and references as indicated. And here's your submission page for the optional digital blog post K. So that's it for this week. Let me know if you have any questions.